Chapter 7. A Foreign Path. I know that the ones that love you will miss you. Keanu Reeves. Calling the funeral director to organise your child's funeral is something a parent never ever wants to do. Ever. It is the hardest thing I have ever had to do in my entire life. It's not right. No child is supposed to die before the appearance. I don't know how long we sat there in the isolation room with her, taking turns holding her and facing the fact that she wasn't going to wake up. We agreed for an autopsy to be carried out. Once this had been undertaken, her wee body would be released to the funeral home. We had to ring the funeral home to advise them that our daughter had died and to make arrangements for them to collect her from the mortuary. Even to this day, as I pen these words, I'm not crying, but my stomach is in knots. It still makes me feel queasy. The thing is, I didn't know of any funeral homes. I had only attended one funeral. It was my cousin's grandfather, which was held at the crematorium, and it was awful. It was so cold and so morbid. This was new territory, and I didn't know what to do. Dr. Taylor spoke softly to the two of us and told us we needed to ring one of the funeral homes. There was no right one, there was no wrong one, you just had to pick one. But who was going to do it? Neil looked at me and I looked at him. I can't, he said. I just can't. My brain just couldn't think. I don't even know where to start. Would you like me to get the telephone directory for you? Asked Dr. Taylor. Yes, I said. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for what? Goodness, was I even having this conversation? He exited the room and returned with the telephone directory. I just went into robot mode. All I remember is ringing Hope and Sons, saying my name, that my baby girl had died, and were they able to take care of the arrangements. I don't even know how I managed to get the words out. It felt like they were being said by another person. It just wasn't real. The rest is just a blur. Emma at home before the funeral. As I'm writing this part of the story, I can picture this day so very clearly. Before I continue, I just want to acknowledge how caring and sensitive our funeral directors, Hope and Sons in Dunedin, were. They made the unbearable bearable. We were contacted ahead of time before Emma was returned home, so we would not be sitting around wondering and waiting. She was returned to us in the most adorable, beautiful white casket. I feel the tears welling as I write this. She was placed in the middle of her bedroom. Neil and I braced ourselves. Her casket was delicately placed on a stand and the top of the casket removed. She just looked like a little doll. We had so many friends and family visit us over the next 2 days before her funeral. We were so grateful for the love, aroha, kindness and support and food given. But all I wanted to do was use every minute I possibly had to just sit and talk to Emma. I was aware I only had so many minutes before she was gone, physically that is. Again, I wish I could just stop time. It just felt so unfair. The post-mortem results. It was confirmed that Emma's heart had gone into an irregular rhythm and that it was the heart's way of getting it back into a regular rhythm by making the body vomit. In some ways, this news was a relief. I don't know that I could have accepted another answer. The thought that it could have been preventable, a preventable death, especially when she was in hospital, would have been too much to bear. The day of the funeral. For a wee person who had such a short life, the turnout to her funeral was massive. My heart was overwhelmed by the love, care and support from everyone that attended. There were friends I had grown up with, my workmates, the new families I'd met in the hospital. along with their babies and children, neighbours and friends of neighbours. It brought me great comfort for the mums and dads that I'd met in the unit to bring their babies. I didn't think for a minute that life was unfair, that they had their baby and I didn't have mine. Rather, it was Emma's little friends coming to say goodbye and understanding that any one of us could have been having a funeral for our child. We knew firsthand how fragile life was. It was facing the uncomfortableness of the situation that brought comfort. I didn't know until the morning of the funeral if I would be able to get up and speak about her short life or not. But I did. I don't know where the courage or desire came from, but I had an overwhelming urge and need to share our story with those attending. I just wanted everyone that was present to know how precious she was to us and the impact that she had on our lives. If there wasn't a dry eye in the house by the time I'd finished my eulogy, there certainly wasn't when we played her farewell song by Joe Cocker, You Are So Beautiful. You are so beautiful to me, can't you see? The words described everything we both felt. Neil carried her wee casket out to the hearse. That was heartbreaking. Emma was cremated. We could not bear the thought of her being in a graveyard all by herself. It did take us a few months to collect her ashes. Neil finally had the courage to do it. I guess for me it was accepting that she was gone and I couldn't do it. I wasn't mentally there yet. This is the one thing about grief. We all deal with it differently and we move through emotions all in our own time. There is no right or wrong time. It is having the patience with each other to understand this. We bought a beautiful yellow miniature rose that was put in a pot outside the kitchen that held her ashes. She would be near us, and if we decided to move house, we could take her with us.